Hello my dear students, welcome back. How was the quiz? Good, I'm so happy to hear this. Well, in this sub lesson we're going to talk about 12-hour system and 24-hour system. Okay, now let's understand what is 12-hour system. Now 12-hour system is just like the way we do every day. Like for example, right now for Mr. Mac to tell you it's 4:40 a.m. Mr. Mac do all the recording at night from 9 in the evening until 7 in the morning. So that's why right now it's 4:40 a.m. See that? If I would have just say 4:40, you wouldn't have known whether I'm doing it in a.m. or p.m. See that? The word a.m. and p.m. is very important because that's going to define whether I'm doing it in the morning or I'm doing it in the afternoon. So when Mr. Mac says I'm doing it at 4:40 a.m., right away you knew that Mr. Mac was doing it when? In the morning, early in the morning, alright? So it's a.m. Now what does a.m. stands for? Actually, a.m. is a Latin word. It's a enter midday. Now p.m. is a post midday. Now midday is the center, the noon. Noon is the consider. So enter means kind of like a before midday, and p.m. which is post midday, that means after midday. See that? See that? So that's the midday, the afternoon is your dividing for the 12-hour system. Alright? So let's say for example, Mr. Mac had a clock here, okay? So let's put this clock up here. So let's put the first one and then let's put the second one. Alright? So as you can see, Mr. Mac got 2 clock here, right? Now the reason why I put 2 is because one represents the morning, the AM, okay? Another one represents the PM, alright? So now let's look at this. When you pass the midnight, so the moment it passed the midnight, the long needle is kept moving, and then this is moves slightly closer to 1, and then the moment I hit 12, this one is already 1 o'clock in the morning, and then it keeps moving and then moves it closer to 2. The moment I hit 12, it points at 2, and then this keeps moving and then it keeps moving closer to 3. The moment I hit 12, it touches 3, so that's 3 a.m. See that? So that keeps going all the way around. I completed what? 12 hours. So that's the AM part of the 12 hours. See that? Okay, now I'm already the midday. See, remember I told you afternoon is our dividing point. Alright, so now I'm going to go to the other side of the 12 hours. Now it's noon. So the moment the long needle goes around, you get the small short needle gets closer to 1 and then hits 1. So 1 p.m. and then the long needle moves around, and then the short needle gets to the 2 by the time before it then when it touches 12 it shows 2. See that? The same thing, the long needle moves around, the short needle moves closer to 3. The moment it hits the 12, it touches the 3. So 3 p.m. So now that keeps going like this until you hit the 12 midnight. So that gives you another 12 hours. See that? So another 12 hours. So in 12-hour system, you got 12 hours for AM and 12 hours for PM. Alright? So that's why we always have to emphasize AM or PM. Now, except for afternoon and midnight. Because the reason why is, if you say 12 p.m., it can be what? Confusing. It could be 12 p.m. noon or 12 p.m. midnight. See that? Because both are considered 12 p.m. So that's why you don't refer 12 midnight and 12 noon as p.m. You say noon or afternoon, or 12 noon or 12 midnight. So that way you can differentiate between 12 noon and 12 midnight. But other than that, the moment it moves 12:01, okay, 12:01, it moves midnight. Let's say for example right now, it just moved like this. Now it's 12 midnight. So the moment the long needle moves 1 minute, alright, so that makes it 12:01 a.m. See that? So keep in mind, it's 12 midnight. Okay, you don't say 12 p.m. because 12 p.m. also can be 12 noon. See that? So you say 12 midnight. But the moment it moves 1 minute away, it becomes 12:01 a.m. which starts right here. Okay, right here. Now it's here in the morning. So now you're moving from this side of the 12 hours. See that? The moment you reach, see, it's 11:59. So when it's 11:59, okay? So let's try this side. So 11:59 a.m. and then when it touches right in the 12 o'clock in the afternoon, okay, you start 12 noon. 12 noon, and then when it moves 1 minute away from the 12 noon, okay, which has been right here, so now we're back to the afternoon side, okay, it's 12:01 p.m. Does that make sense? Alright, so it's very important to understand how the 12-hour clock works, okay? Let's recap again. Now, the first part of the 12 hours is the AM side. The second part of the 12 hours is PM side. So kind of like this way, you wake up in the morning, it's what's in the morning, 7 a.m. or maybe you wake up 6:30 a.m. and then you take your shower, you brush your teeth, and then you put your school clothes on, and then you go down, and then you go to your kitchen and you have a breakfast. Am I right? After you've done your breakfast, and then you say bye-bye to mom and dad, and then you go to the either you take a school bus or your parents take you to school. See that? So your routine, that's your morning routine, and then you get to the school, you take your classes, you study hard, you do well, you know, and then you take a recess in the morning, and then the noon comes, and then you'll have a break during noon, and then you're done with school, okay, and then let's say your school done at 2 p.m. and then you come home, you take your school bus, or you take your mom and dad picks you up, and then you come to home, and you take a shower, and then you do your school work, and or you have your lunch first, and then you do your school work, and then see that, and then you go out, play, and then you come home, you take a shower, and then you do your schoolwork, homework, and things like that, and then you go to bed. See? That completes the whole day. Your morning part of the day is what? You go to school, you know, and then the afternoon part, when you come to school, you do your homework, you study, you watch TV, you go play, things like that, and then you go to bed. So when you go to bed at 9 o'clock, like this, and then or 10 o'clock, whichever time you go, and you're sleeping all this time. See that? All this time, then you get up like 7 o'clock in the morning, okay, which would be right here, this side. Because the moment you, midnight, the 12-hour PM is done. Okay, the 12-hour PM is done, and then you start on the morning side, and you're still sleeping. Right there, you're still sleeping, and then come to 6:30, okay, and you get up. Alright, 6:30 a.m. And then, see that? So in other words, 6:30 a.m. you get up, and then you take a shower, and then you do your take your breakfast and get ready to go to school. Already 7, and then your school bus comes like 7:30, and then your school bus take you to school and get you to school by, let's say, 7:55, and then your school starts like 8. See that? And then you study hard, and then you got a break, lunch break. And then you study. Now, see, this is done on the AM side. Now you're coming to the PM side. Then you study, and then your school is done. You take your school bus. You come home, and then you take a shower. You have your lunch, and then you take a coffee break. You do some homework, and then you go out and play at the playground. Okay, and then you come home around 7 o'clock, and then you take a shower, and then you take your dinner, and then you study, and then you go to bed at 10 p.m. And you're sleeping right now. You're sleeping midnight, and then it starts here, morning. You're sleeping, and then you get up in the morning again. See that? That's how it works, the 12-hour clock. See that? Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, good. So I want to make sure you understand. AM is 12 hours, PM is 12 hours, alright? Now keep in mind, for the 12 noon, you don't address it as a 12 p.m. You just say 12 noon. For 12 midnight, again, you don't address it as a p.m. You say that as 12 midnight, because it can be confusing if you say 12 p.m. They said, I'll be home 12 p.m. today. It could be what? 12 noon or 12 midnight, am I right? So that's no way to tell you. So always remember, if you're in the morning side of the day, which would be what? AM. If you're in the afternoon side of the day, it's a PM, which is include the night as well, okay? So keep in mind, the noon is your midday. That's the dividing, the center. 12 this side, 12 that side. Now let's learn how to read and write them, okay? So let's recap again, alright? Now this is what system you're dealing with? The 12-hour system, okay? You're dealing with the 12-hour system, okay? Later on we're going to do the 24-hour system. Now let's understand how to read them and write them, okay? Now you know that when you put the AM, you want to put A dot M dot. Okay, when you want to put PM, you put P dot M dot. Okay, now again, earlier Mr. Max says this is a Latin word which is enter midday. It's also Latin word is actually enter meridium, and PM is post, I can say midday, so post meridium, which is midday. Okay, the English word for meridium would be midday, and post means after midday, and enter means before midday. So that's why I see that, like Mr. says, that noon is your dividing point between the 12 hours. All right, so you got the before noon would be what? Will be the before midday, which would be morning. All right, after midday would be what? Will be the afternoon. See that? So that's why it's afternoon and morning. That makes one whole day. The morning starts first and then ends it with the afternoon, which is night. Actually, when I say afternoon, it's considered the night as well also. Okay, so that makes one whole day. And then when you start 12:01 a.m., that's where the next day starts. See that? Because 12 midnight and then 12:01, it's where your next day starts, and then you just continue your routine. You sleep, and then get up 6:30, and then go to school. You come home, and then it's at 12 noon, and then you come home, and then you have your lunch, and then you take a shower. You go do your homework. You go play to playground, and then see that. Then take a tea time, and then you have your dinner. You study, and then you go to bed at 10 p.m. and then back to the midnight, and then back to morning next day. See that? So that's a continuous. All right. Now let's learn how to read the clock. Okay, read the clock. All right. Let's say, for example, it's the AM. Okay, it's very important. You got to emphasize the AM and PM when you're dealing with 12-hour system, because that's the only way to tell whether it's what is it the morning or the afternoon. All right. Let's say, for example, if it's the showing 2, and then it's right now. What's the time right now? It's 2 o'clock. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. You can say 2 o'clock. Okay, AM. 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock AM. So in this case, you want to say, you can write it out like this. See that? 2 AM. See that? Or 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so that will be more proper. Say 2 o'clock in the morning. If you want to say it like in a word, like you want to express it out, you just say 2 o'clock in the morning. If you want to write it out, you say 2, and then you do 2 zeros AM, because this 2 zeros, it's reserved for the minutes. Now let's say, for example, if this long needle shows like 4, and you see the short needle, I kind of moved a little bit away from the 2, because as this move, as the long needle move, the small needle also start moving closer to 3. See that? That's why it's away from the 2. It's not always like, it's not like that. All right, it always go away from the 2. Okay, but still before 3. So that means this is what 2. If it's pointing at 4, remember we know that each section is how many minutes? 5, 10, 15, 20. Or in other words, 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is what? 20. So in other words, right now the time is 2:20 AM. See that? Okay, 2:20 AM. If I have to write that, I'll say 2:20 AM. 2:20 in the morning. You could use that too. Okay, 2:20. So I can say 2:20 in the morning. If I want to write it out, 2:20 in the morning. But if you want to write it in a form of numeral, you say 2:20 AM. Very important to put the AM, because that way I know it's in the morning. Just like Mr. Max says, okay, so right now it's 5:30, so it's a 5:30 AM. If I just say 5:30, you would never know whether Mr. Max is recording the videos in the morning or in the afternoon. See that? So when I say 5:30 AM, you knew that Mr. Max work in the morning. All right? Okay, good. All right. So now let's say, for example, if I go in the PM side and it's pointing like this. So what's the time right now? See that the short needle is past the 4 but before 5. So it's 4, and the long needle, it's pointing at 7. 7 times 5 is 35. And which side of the day are we? In PM. Exactly. So 4:35 PM. Alright? Okay, now let's say, for example, now look at this. What's time right now? Is it 7? No, it's not touched 7 yet. How do I know? See that? The long needle getting closer to 12. That's why the short needle is getting really close to 7. See, that's not 7 yet, because you look at the long needle. Long needle will tell you whether this is touching 7 or not, because it's getting closer to 12. That means it's 6:55. So it's pointing at 6. I mean, the short needle is already past the 6, but haven't touched the 7 yet. So that is going to be 6. And then 11. 11 times 5 is what? 55. So 6:55 p.m. See that? So if I were to write that down, it would be what? So I just say 6:55. See that? 6 for the hour, 55 for the minute. Very important. 6:55 in the afternoon, or in the you can say in the evening. This one. Okay, in the evening. So 6:55 in the evening. See that? So when you hit the 6 o'clock p.m., 6 p.m., you already reached the evening. So once you go over the 6, it's all evening. Alright? Before the 6 is afternoon. Now, when come to night, now in English, you don't refer, like for example, when you greet someone, when you meet somebody, even if it's at 9 p.m., I know it's night, but you don't greet somebody, says good night, hello. I say hello, nice to meet you, it's good night. No, you said good evening. You greet them, still you consider it's evening. The only time you use the word good night is when you're leaving. It's kind of like say bye bye. Good night, nice meeting you, I'll see you again, good night. And then you walk away. See that? You don't say good night when you meet somebody. You say good evening, even if it's 10 or 11 at night. See that? You still say, good evening, how are you? And then when you're done for the day, let's say you're out dinner with your friends and everybody, when you walk into the restaurant and it's at 10 p.m. and you greet them, good evening my fellow friends, how are you? See that? Then when you're done having dinner with them and you're done talking to them and you said, well, I think I need to go home, it's already too late. My mom and dad is waiting outside for me, and good night, and you say bye-bye to them and you leave. See that? So you got to know when to use the evening and night, alright? So keep in mind, between this and that, alright? Now even here you can even say good night, 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. When you're leaving somebody, you can say good night. It's acceptable, alright? In English, it's acceptable to, it's kind of like good night means you say bye-bye. You say goodbye kind of thing, okay? So keep in mind. So now we know that 6:55 in the evening, okay? Now, of course, if it's at 10 like this, you can say 10 o'clock in the night. You can refer that 10 o'clock in the night. When you're referring the clock, the time, you can say 10 o'clock in the night. But when you're greeting somebody at 10 p.m., 10 o'clock at night, you still greet them as good evening. Okay, so keep in mind. Alright, so now you understood how to write and also read. Okay, write and read is very important. You're able to understand how to look like a clock. Okay, this is a 12-hour clock. The first part of the day is what? AM. The second part of the day is PM. That makes a one complete day. Now keep in mind, 12 hours, 12 hours. So 12 hours on this side and 12 hours on this side. So that makes how many hours? Total is what? 24 hours. So that means in one day there are 24 hours. The first 12 hours covers the AM side. The other 12 hours covers the PM side. And you had to start with the AM, ends with the PM. Okay? That's the complete day. Okay? Good. Alright? Well, so look like you understood how to read and write 12-hour system. Okay, now let's talk about 24-hour system, how 24 system works. Okay, well, give me a few minutes. Mr. Max is going to erase the board and I'll be back and we talk about 24-hour system. Okay, and I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, now earlier we talked about 12-hour system. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 24-hour system. Okay, now how does 24-hour system work? Okay, Mr. Max is going to pull this one out and then I'm going to put a different clock in there. Okay, so let me take this one out and then I'm going to put this one right here. Okay, so alright, now look at this. Okay, I've kind of put a sticker on all these numbers and you can still see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The reason I did this, I'm going to write on it. Okay, first let's understand on the 24-hour system, you don't use AM and PM, okay? Because based on the clock, the numbers, you will know whether it's in the AM or PM. Okay, now first let's look at the AM side. I'm still going to refer the word AM and PM to you right now. Okay, this is the AM side and this is the PM side. Now the AM side will be the morning. The PM side is going to be in the afternoon. Okay, now that makes up one whole day, the 24 hours. Now look at the word 24 hours. Now from the AM was what? 12 hours on this side, and PM was what? 12 hours on this side. Now when I add this to, gives me what? 24 hours. So I refer the whole, this side also 24. In other words, the continuous. After 12, what comes? 13. After 13, what comes? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we're going to use the word 24. We're going to use the numbers, okay, to refer the clock, okay, the time. So let's say this is the morning, alright? Now when you start first thing 1 in the morning, so if I had to use the 24-hour system to read it, I'll say 0, 100 hours. Okay? See that? 0, 100 hours. That's, now I know this is morning. Okay, because why? I'm referring 0, 100 hours. Now look, when he moves it this way, now 0, 200 hours, 0, 300 hours, 0, 400, 0, 500, 0, 600, 0, 700, 800, 900. So now it's 900 hours. Now wait a minute, when we come to 10, you still use the word 1000 hours. Very important, okay? 1000. The 0 right here, the 20 you refer as 100. This is a 1000 hours. Very important. And then I got to right here 1100 hours. Okay. Now you do not say 1100 hours. You don't say 1000 hours. Okay. Now when I come here, I say 1200 hours. Now why 100? 100 is reserved for the minutes. Okay. Let's say for example, let's go back to 100 hours. Okay, now this is 0, 100 hours. What happens if it's showing 115? 115, how do I say that? Exactly, you say 0, 115 hours. See that? 0, 115 hours. See that? Okay, now if I have it, let's say if it's 2:30, okay, how do I refer that? What I do is I say 0, 0 to 30 hours. The 2 represent the 2 o'clock. The 30 represent the minute, the 30 minutes. That's how you say 0 to 30 hours. Very important. You can say the 0, 0 to 30 hours. And that's the 24-hour system. 24-hour system way of expressing it. Very important, okay? So now let's say, for example, if it's let's say like this. What's the time right now? Let's use the 12-hour system. Tell me what's the time right now. It's 5. 9 times 5 is 45. So 5:45. All right. So it's a 5:45 a.m. Okay. Very important. Now, if I were to express that in a 24-hour system, it's 05 and the 45 hours. See that? 05, 45 hours. And I know that is the morning. If you'll get to the afternoon, then you will know why I should be able to tell that. Because I'm not filling up. I'm just saying the 5. When you say 1 all the way through 12, okay, in other words, actually I should say 1 through 11:59. That's still you're in the morning side of it. Okay? Alright, so in other words, so if I were to go like this, it's getting closer to 12. But it's not 12 yet, but it's pointing to this one right there. See that? So then, what do I know? It's what's the time right now? If I were to use a 12-hour system, it's 11:59 a.m. See that? If I had to express that in a form of 24-hour system, it is 11:59 59 hours. Now what happened to the 0? You only use 4 part. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 position. Alright? When the number is below 10, it's not occupying this one. So I have to mention the 0. See that? When it occupied this position, in this case it occupied right there. So I say 11:59 hours. See that? So I say now this way. 11:59 hours. See that? When there's a 0 there, you say 05:45 hours. So I said 05:45 hours. Very important, okay? Alright? So now, so that means up to this, I know it's, when I look at this, I know it's still AM, the morning side of it. So when I get to the 12, when I get here, 12, okay, what do? I say 1200 hours. So I know that is noon. 1200 hours is noon. Okay, keep in mind, 1200 hours is noon, okay? So now I'm moving, okay, when I come to 1 o'clock on the 12-hour system, it's no more 1 o'clock. We're going to refer that as 1300 hours. 13. So this is going to be 1300 hours. No more 1, because you adding the 12 plus 1 is what? 12 plus 1 is 13. Okay? So with a 24 system, you don't say 1 p.m. anymore. You say 12 plus 1 is 13. See that? So it becomes 1300 hours. 1300 hours. Alright? So what happened? It goes to 2 o'clock. 2 p.m. It's 14. How's that 14? 12 plus 2. So now I'm adding the 12 with 2 gives me what? 14 hours. So 1400 hours. See that? And so now it becomes 14. Now look at this. There's a 3 there. 3 plus 12 is 15. That's 15. That's 16. That's 17, that's 18, that's 19, that's 20, that's 21, 22, 23, and look at that, 24. Back to the 24, that's the end of the day. That's the midnight. See that? So if I say 2400, that's midnight. Or 0000. Okay? See that? Alright, so 2400. Okay, so that's the midnight. So that now you see that. So if I have to give you, let's say 12-hour system, if I told you it's 4:25 p.m. And how do I express that in a form of 24-hour system? 12 plus 4 is what? 16. So 25 hours. See that? So now let's go there. Let's go to, this is 4 right there, and 25 is right there. See that? See, 16, 25. Okay? So 16, 25. That's why you do that, because you know that 5 times 5 is 25. So you put a 5 position. Okay? Does that make sense? Very important, able to understand between 12-hour system and 24-hour system. Okay, so for the 24-hour system, you do not refer AM, PM. By just looking at the clock, the time you should be able to tell. Okay, if I were to tell you right now the time is 07:35 hours. Is this in the morning or afternoon? Exactly, it's in the morning. It's an AM. How is that? 7:35. Because it's 7:35 a.m. Because that's 07:35. I'm on this side of it. See that? 7:35 right there. I'm this side. Okay? So if I tell you right now is 1840 hours. 1840 hours. So how do I know that? What time that would be in a regular in a 12-hour system? I take the 18 minus 12 will be what? 6. Okay, that means 6:40 p.m. So this is 18, so it's already past the morning side of it, so it's in the PM side. Okay, so you know that. So that would be 6:40 right there. 6:40 PM. Okay, so make sure you understand the relationship between the AM and PM, and able to convert between. I shouldn't say. No, not relation. You should understand the relationship between 12-hour clock. You should understand between 12-hour system and the 24-hour system, able to convert back and forth. Alright? So make sure you understand that. For 12 hours, once you pass that 12 o'clock, the noon, you add 12 to it to convert it to 24-hour system. What I mean by that, if it's a 1 PM, if it's a 1 PM, what do? 12 plus 1 is 13. So it's a 1300 hours. 1300. The 100 is reserved for the minute. Okay? If I were to push this long needle and to the, like say, 30 minutes like that. So that is 1330 hours. You just say 1330 hours, and you should able to know that's in the afternoon, and it's 1:30 PM. If I had to convert that to 12-hour system. Alright? Does that make sense? Okay, good. Well, Mr. Max is going to erase this, and I'll be back, and we'll continue in finding duration. Alright? If I give you time, finding the duration between the 2 points of the time. Alright? And I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, now in this part of the sub-lesson, we're going to talk about, if I had to give you 2 times, and I want you to find the interval, when the 2 point of times are given, what are the interval between from the beginning to the end? So let's say, for example, okay, if I were to give you 6 AM, and I want you to find the interval from 6 AM to 10 AM. So what is that? Okay, let's put like a line graph, alright? So we know the 6 is right here, 6, and then 7, and then 8, and then 9, and then 10. Now the interval is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means 4 hours, am I right? How do I get 4 hours? Am I going to do this all the time? There got to be a shorter way, am I right? So what I do is, I take the big number, subtract with the small number. So I take 10, subtract that with 6, give me 4. So that gives me 4 hours. That one's quick way, but be careful. Only attention if it's all, let's say in AM. Okay, when you have an AM and PM, it's going to be different. Only you are in the same time zone. Okay, in other words, if it's in AM, all in AM, it's fine. If it's all in PM, it's fine. But you cannot do it if you have an AM and PM, but we'll come to that one. So right now we're just concentrating, they're the same time zone. I mean, in other words, in the same side of the AM or PM. Okay, so let's say for example, I want to see the interval from 3 PM until 11 PM. What do? I take the difference between 11 and 3. So 11 minus 3 is, very good, it's 8. So 8 hours. Okay, so the interval between 3 and 11 is 8 hours. Okay, so very easy, isn't it? Okay, so far it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? When you have a 6 AM and 10 AM and then 3 PM to 11 PM. So when I ask you to find the interval, you just take the difference when there's no minutes involved. Okay, but the key thing is, remember, in order to do the difference, it has to be this AM, AM, PM, PM. Alright? It cannot be AM to PM. You can't take like this. You can't do the difference like this. Alright? Same thing. You can't take the difference if it's a AM to PM. Okay? You can't do that. As long as it's a PM, PM, AM, AM, I can take the difference. That will be the hours, the interval hours. Alright, so let's concentrate on the same time. Okay, this is the section, on the PM section, AM section. What happens if there's a minute to it? Okay, now I'm going to include minutes. Alright, so far we only did the hours. Let's say for example 4:30 AM to 9:45 AM, and I want to find the interval from 4:30 AM to 9:45 AM. the key thing, the first thing that I want you to look for is make sure they're both in AM. Okay, same part of the day. Okay, so in other words, if zone, in other words, make sure it's in the AM side. Okay, so both are AM. That means I can subtract them. Take the big number, all right, the 9:45 minus with 4:30. Line them up right. Okay, make sure you line them up. All right, so 5 minus 0 is 5, 4 minus 3 is 1, 9 minus 4 is 5. So that means it's 5 hours and 15 minutes. That's the answer. So the interval from 4:30 to 9:45, it's AM is 5 hours and 15 minutes. Now what about another one? Let's give another one. Okay, let's say for example, if I ask you to find the interval from 2:15 AM to 7:10 AM. What do? Again, we subtract because the both are in AM and AM. So what I do is I take the big number, okay, and then line it up with the small number. So I take 7, 10, and line it up with 2:15. Okay. Always start on the right, okay, when you're subtracting, okay, always on the right. But look at this, the number are kind of small. So, I have to borrow from 7. So, 7 becomes 6. That 1 hour, when I turn it into minute, becomes what? 60 minutes. And adding to the 10 will make it 70 minutes, okay? So, I'm going to put 70 right there. Okay? So, now 0 minus 5, I cannot borrow from 7, becomes 6. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 6 minus 1 is 5. 6 minus 2 is 4. So that means the interval from 2:15 AM to 7:10 AM is 4 hours 55 minutes. See that? Very straightforward, isn't it? Okay? The key thing is what? AM. Alright? They have to be AM. Then only you can use this method. If it's say AM and PM, it's different. We'll get to that one. Alright? Well, let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll talk about how about when it's a AM and PM. How do we find that? And I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Now, before we talk about finding the interval from AM to PM, okay, now let's recap, okay, what we learned from the earlier AM. Okay, let's say for example, if I had to ask you to find the interval of 2 given time, okay, let's say for example, I told you if it's 2:45 PM and I want to find the interval to, let's say, 9:15 PM. So what do? First thing I gotta do is make sure that both are PM and PM in order for me to use a subtraction method, alright? Without doing any conversion, just directly taking the number and subtract. I make sure it's PM and PM. Yes, they are, so I can subtract them. So I take the big number, I put it over here first, and then the small number, I line it up. Very important, lining them up. Okay, now I subtract. Before I subtract, I always start from the very right, okay? Now, be careful, this is not number system. This is an hour, time system, okay? We're dealing with hours. 15 and 45, when you subtract, you can't. So you have to borrow from the hour. See that? So I have to borrow from 9. 9 becomes 8. Now do I put like this? Make it 11 like that? No, you can't. Because that 1 hour is equals to what? 60 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to take 60 and I'm going to add to that 15 minutes. Give me 75 minutes. Okay, so now I can subtract with 45. See that? So either I can rewrite this whole thing. Put 8 hours, 75 minutes, subtracting with 2 hours, 45 minutes, okay? So now I can subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. 7 minus 4 is 3. 8 minus 2 is 6. So that means the interval from 2:45 PM to 9:15 PM is 6 hours and 30 minutes. 6 hours and 30 minutes. So 6 hours, 30 minutes. That's my answer. To find the interval from 2:45 to 9:15. Now, in order for me to use this method, PM, PM, or AM, AM. Alright, Mr. Mac, what happened if I have an AM to PM? Let's say, for example, I want to find the time interval from 6, let's just the hour first, 6 AM to 2 PM. See that? Now you cannot use the subtraction method by this, the way I did. Take that big number and subtract. No, you can't do that. What you have to do is convert them into 24-hour system. 24-hour system. Alright? For AM, pretty much you say 600 hours. Okay? For 2 PM, you take 2 plus 12 is what? 14. So it's 1400 hours. Once you converted them in that format, now you can subtract them. So anything with the AM, PM or PM, AM, you have to convert them into, very good, to the 24-hour system first before you can subtract them. Alright, so now I take the 1400, the big number, 1400, line it up with a small number, the 0600, and I subtract. Okay? 0, 0, 4 minus 6, I cannot borrow from 1, this one becomes 0, 14 minus 6 is 8, 0. So that is 8 hours. Remember, this is 0, 800. See that? That's 8 hours. So that means the interval from 6 to 2 PM, 6 AM to 2 PM is 8 hours. Now if we were to use the line graph method, okay, so this is 6 AM, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. Right there. See that? That's 8 hours. Which is by doing this, get that. Okay? Now what happened if you have a minutes to it? Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's say for example, I want to find the time interval. Okay? So the interval from, let's say, 7:35 AM to, let's say, 4:25 PM. What's the first step? AM, PM. We cannot use the subtraction right away. We got to do one more step. What is the one more step is? Exactly, you convert that into 24-hour system. Alright? When you have AM, you just write it out. So 0735. When you have in a form of PM is where you add 12 to 4. 12 plus 4 is what? 16. So 12 plus 4, it's 16. Alright? So that means 1625 hours. So I'm going to find the interval to 0735 to 1625 hours. I take the difference now. Take the big number, I put the 1625 and I line it up with 735. Now look at this. This is representing the minute. This is representing the hour side. Okay? 25 minus 35. You cannot. You have to borrow from 6. So 6 becomes 5. You add 60 to this. So you add 60 to that. So that means 60 plus 25 will give me what? 0 plus 5 is 5. 6 plus 2 is 8. 85. So I'm going to rewrite this thing. So it becomes 1585 minus 0735. Okay? Now I can subtract. See that? Earlier I couldn't because this is smaller, this is bigger. Now I can. 5 minus 5 is 0. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 minus 7, I cannot borrow from 1, becomes 15. 15 minus 7 is? Very good. It's 8. And then put 0 right there. 8:50. That means 8 hours and 50 minutes. So the interval from 7:35 AM to 4:25 PM is 8 hours and 50 minutes. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay? Alright, good. So that's how you want to do on the time interval. If I give you the form of AM, PM, 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 AM, AM, PM, PM, AM, PM. Alright? So when they're not same, when they're not the same side of the day, okay, then you convert them to 24-hour system and then solve it, you will get the answer. If they both are same side of the day, alright, if it's a PM, PM or AM, AM, you don't have to convert it, just right away you can subtract to get the answer. Alright? Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board. Let's look at the 24 hours. If I give you in the form of 24-hour system and ask you to find the interval, how do you do that? And I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, let's look at the 24-hour system, alright? Now, let's say, for example, if I ask you to find the interval from, let's say, 0700 hour to, let's say, 900 hour. So what do? We take the big numbers and subtract with a small number, okay? We take the difference. That's it. The same like the way we did the AM, PM, alright? Okay, so I take 0900 minus with, line it up, okay? So that gives me 0, 0, 9 minus 7 is 2, 0. That's 200 hours. That means 2 hours. Because this is you're representing the minutes and this is representing your hour. Alright, hours. So that means it's 2 hours. The interval between 0700 and 0900 hours are 2 hours. Okay, well, this is kind of the morning side, alright? What happens if it's the morning and the evening? Doesn't matter, because the interval for the 24-hour system doesn't matter. For the 24-hour system, no matter either you're taking from morning to the morning or afternoon to the afternoon or morning to the evening, take the big number, line it up with a small number. Alright, let's do that. Let's say, for example, I want to find out the time interval. Okay, it's 07:35 and then 15 hours. What do? We take the big number, subtract with a small number. Always that way, okay? So for 24-hour system, you line them up. Put the big number first, take the small one, okay? Subtract them. But keep in mind, this is the minute and this is the hour. Don't treat them as the round number, a whole number, okay? This is not a whole number, you're dealing with hour system, alright? That's a unit conversions there. You cannot subtract 15 with 35. So you have to borrow from 6, the 1 hour from 6. So that 1 hour from 6 will become 5. When you take 1 out of 6, it becomes 5. And that 1 hour is what? 60 minutes. See that? Now I take the 60 minutes, add it to the 15. So 60 plus 15 give me 75. I'm going to rewrite this one again. So I'm going to put 15, 75, and then line it up with 5370. Now I can subtract. That's the one you got to pay attention. Okay? When there's not enough to subtract, when you have to borrow, you have to make sure the conversion, okay? So in this case, 5 minus 5 is 0, 7 minus 3 is 4, 5 minus 7, I cannot borrow from 1, becomes 15, 15 minus 7 is, very good, it's 8. And then put 0 right there, 0 minus 0, okay? Because this one becomes 0, 0 minus 0 is 0. So this is the 8 hours, and this is the 40 minutes. That means the interval is 8 hours, 40 minutes, and that's the interval from 07:35 to 15 hours. How do we read that again? 07:35. Got to emphasize the 0. Alright, for 24-hour system, when you want to read it, 07:35. Now, before Mr. Mac forget, the 24 hours is also referred as military hour. Okay, in US they refer that as a military hours. Okay, so you're dealing with a military hour system, which is 24-hour system. So if you run across, they used to say, I'm referring to military hour, which is 24-hour system. Okay. Does that make sense? Alright, good. Okay, good. So, like this. So you got 8 hours and 40 minutes. Now if you do, let's say for example, let me give you another one. Let's say for example, I give you, let's say 10:45, and then I want to find the interval to 17:50. See that? Hours. So I want to find the interval. So what do? Line them up, okay? Take the big number, 17:50, line it up with the 10:45. The reason I give you this one is, this is the minute and this is the hour. The 50 and 45, see that? You can subtract. Then you don't have to worry about the borrowing. You don't have to go through all this converting 1 hour to 60 minutes in order to be able to subtract. In this case, I gave it such a way you can subtract. So 0 minus 5, I cannot. I borrow from 5. 5 becomes 4. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 4 minus 4 is 0. 7 minus 0 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. So that means this is the hour. And this is the minute. That means 7 hours. The interval is 7 hours, 5 minutes. 7 hours and 5 minutes is the interval. Alright? Okay, so let's recap the things that we learned in finding the interval. For the regular clock like AM for a 12-hour system, when you want to subtract, when you find the time interval, okay, let's recap, alright? So, let's recap between the 12-hour system and the 24-hour system. When you want to find the time interval for 12-hour system, make sure they are AM and AM in order for you to subtract them. If they're not, or PM, alright? If they're not, then what do? You convert them into 24-hour system and then you subtract them, alright? If they're AM and PM or PM, AM, alright? So when they're two different time, daytime, alright? So like say midnight, before midday or after midday, which is AM or PM, alright? So when you have AM and PM, interval you're finding, you convert them into 24-hour system. Now, for the 24-hour system, do I make any conversion? No, you just solve it. Take the big number, subtract with the small number. Make sure you check the minute. For the big number and the subtracting, if it's smaller, you borrow 1 from the hour. Make sure you convert that 1 hour to 60 minutes. It's not whole number you're dealing with. You're not subtracting with whole numbers. You're subtracting hours and with minutes. So you got to make the conversion. Because right now it looks like 0735. There's a temptation to just borrow 1, becomes like 13. See that? Like this one right there. When you put the 1 there, it becomes 11. No, it's not. Okay, you're adding 60 minutes to 15, which is 71. I rewrite it and then subtract it. Alright? Okay, good. Well, that should prepare you for the hands-on practice, okay? So, well, let's see what Pablo's doing. I know we've been spending a lot of time learning this part of the section of the sub-lesson. And let's see, he's ready. He's working hard. He's trying to get some hands-on practice ready for us, alright? So give us a few seconds and I'll be back. And then we'll call Pablo out and we'll have fun with the hands-on practice. I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright. Alright, my dear students, are you ready for some hands-on practice? Alright, good. Well, let's call Pablo out and we'll have the worksheet and you can have fun with it, okay? Well, let's do that. Let's call Pablo, alright? Pablo, come on over, Pablo. Yes, come on over, bring the worksheet. And here it is. Our dear students are ready to do some hands-on practice and they're very excited and they learn so much. Alright, my dear students, here it is. Have fun with it. And then once you're done, invite Mr. Mac in. Okay, and then we'll work together. Here it is. Alright, look at that. Whoa, Pablo. How was it, my dear students? This is good, okay? This will give you good hands-on practice, alright? The more you do, the more you'll understand. Okay, so let's do the first one. The first one says, write the times in word. Okay, so you're given 1A, 7:39 AM. So we're going to write that in a form of word. Okay, so we're going to say 7:39 in the morning. Okay, so in the morning. So because it is AM. So it's very important, okay? Because 7:39, you want to mention it's in the morning, okay? Good. Okay, let's look at B. Now B, you're given 11:20 p.m. Okay, so that means 11:20 in the p.m. So this is 11. So you know that it's kind of night. So in the evening, okay, or you can put in the night. Okay, in the night. Okay, so 11:20 in the night. So you can even 11:20 in the night. All right. Okay. So now let's look at C. C, you're given in a form of 24-hour system. Okay. Now this too in a form of 12-hour system. Now look at that. 0700. Okay, 0700. Okay. So we're going to say 0700 hours. Okay, now this is in a 24 system. Okay, to write that in a form of word, you put 0700 hours. Okay, very important. All right. Okay, let's look at D. Now D, you're given 0425. Okay, now again the first one is 0425 hours. See that? So it's very important because this one is referring to the hours. Okay, and this one is referring to the minutes. Okay, but we know that. So this way, so that's why we read it this one as 0425 hours. Okay, so keep in mind. All right, let's look at E. So E, you're given 1637. All right, and we know that this is the hour and this is the minute. So we're going to read this together, which is what? 16. See that? 16. So we're going to say 16, and this one is 37. 1637 hours. See that? Now, in the first one, look at this one. This one you got 04. So that's why you can put 0425 hours. Now this one, you got 16. See that? That's why you put 1637 hours. Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay? Good. Alright, let's problem number 2. Let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem number 2. Okay? And I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, now question number 2, write using the 24-hour system. Okay, so you're given questions in a form of what? 12-hour system. So we want to convert that. We're going to write that in a form of 24 hours. Alright, system. Okay, so let's look at 2A. 2A, you're given 4 a.m. Okay, 4 a.m. Alright, so how do we do it in a form of 24-hour system? We put, so we know that this is AM, okay? So 400 and then put a 0 behind it. That's it right there. Okay? So you put the 400 and then put a 0 behind it and it's the AM. See that? In AM, you haven't passed the 12 hours yet. Okay? So that's why you're still on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and then 13. See that? Once you pass 12, then you become 13, 14. Alright? So this is still in AM. So in PM is where your numbers become 12 plus that number, the time. Okay? Alright, so let's look at problem B. So B, you're given 7:25 a.m. and again, you haven't passed the 12 noon yet. So again, so you're going to write down 7:25 and then put a 0 in the front. Because we know why? This is the hour and this is the minute. So the hour, you got 2 digits. So in this case, it's only 1 digit, that's why I put a 0. Alright, so let's say for example, if I had given you, let's say for example, 11:50 a.m. So now I can write down 11:50. See that? I don't have to put the 0 because the 11 already taken up the 2-digit that was designated for the hour, and then 2-digit was designated for the minute. Okay, all right, let's look like C. Now C, you're given 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Now you're passing the 12 o'clock is your noon. Okay, so you add 12 plus 2 will becomes what? 14. See that? So 14, and the minute is 00. That's it right there. All right, so 1400. Okay, you want to read that, you have to read it as a 1400. So D, you're given 9:32 p.m. Again, you pass the 12 noon. Okay, p.m. All right, so you pass the 12 noon, so you add the 9 with 12. So 9 plus 12 is, so another 12 plus 9. 2 plus 9 is 11, 1 carry 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. So it gives me 2132. 2132. Because by looking at that 2132, I know it's going to be in PM, and after I subtract 12 out of that, it gives me 9:32 PM. Alright? Okay, good. Now let's look like problem number 3. Alright? Problem number 3, let me write it over here. 3 says, write using the 12-hour system. We just did a 24-hour system. We converted a 12-hour system into 24 hours. This time, we want to convert the 24-hour system into 12-hour system. Okay? So, we are given 3A, you're given 0, 3, 27. Alright? Now, look at that. This is less than 12. Okay? If it's less than 12, it's going to be AM. Alright, so I know it's going to be AM, so it's going to be 3:27 AM, because I know this is the hour and this is the minute. Alright, the 2-digit is below 12 will be AM. If it's above 12, it's PM. Alright, so in this case it's below 12, which is 3, so 3:27 AM. Alright, okay, let's look at B. Now B, you're given 11:05. Okay, so how do I read this one? 11:05, because the 11 I'm referring to the hour, the 5 I'm referring to the minute. Okay, so 11:05. You don't have to say 11:05. You just say 11:05. It's already understood, because it's going to be 05. All right, so that means the 11 is below 12. That means it's going to be what? AM. Okay, so it's going to be 11:05 AM. See that? 11:05 AM. Alright? Okay, let's look like C. C, you're given 15:44. Look at that. It's over 12 this time. So what are you going to do? We're going to take 15 minus 12. Will give me what? Exactly. Because first I know this is going to be PM, because it's already past the 12. Alright? Now I want to find the number, the hour. Okay, now hour in the form of 12 hour system. So I'm going to subtract that with 12. So 5 minus 2 is 3, 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, it's going to be 3, and this is the minute, which is 44, and I know it's already past the 12, which is what? PM. See that? If you do the systematic, you will do it right. Alright, so we know that this is the hour, and we know this is the minute, so we don't have to worry about it. We just bring the minute straight down, and this is already past the 12, and we know it's going to be PM. Then I take 15 minus 12, give me 3, so that makes it 3:44 PM. Okay, alright, let's look like D. D is 23:58. See that? 23:58. So this is the hour and this is the minute. So this is the hour. Look at that. 23. It's already past the 12. So it would be what? Very good. That's going to tell us this is going to be PM. So to find the hour in a 12-hour system, we subtract that with 12. Okay, so we're going to subtract this with 12. Alright, so 3 minus 2 is 1, 2 minus 1 is 1. So that gives me 11:58, because this is the minute, 58 PM. Right there, 11:58 PM. Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward, alright? Okay, good. Alright, let's do problem number 4. Let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem number 4, and I'll be back with you. Alright, my dear students, problem number 4, okay? Find the time interval, okay, between 2 a.m. to 9:25 a.m., okay? So let's do that, problem 4a. So we are looking for time interval from 2 a.m. to 9:25 a.m. Okay? So when we want to find the time interval, what was the principle that we use? AM, AM. They are the same part of the day, alright? Which is the AM side, alright? That means I can do the subtraction method, alright? By taking the big number, subtracting the small number. So this is the big number. So I'm going to put 9:25. I'm going to subtract that with 200, alright? So that means 25 minus 0 is 5, 5 minus 0 is 5, 2 minus 0 is 2, and then 9 minus 2 is 7. So that gives me 7 hours, 25 minutes. See that? 7 hours, 25 minutes. Okay, good. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Let's do number problem B. Okay, so you're given 7:45 p.m. to 11:25 p.m. So what's our principle? The first thing we have to do is we check, make sure they both are same part of the day, which is PM, PM. That means I can take the big number, subtract with the small number. See that? If this is PM or this is AM, this is PM, it's a different story, okay? Which we have a next problem will be on that one. But now it's both are PM, PM. So I take the big number, which is 11:25. I'm subtracting that with 7:45. Very important. Lining them up, alright? Lining them up right is very important, okay? Now look at this. 25 and 45. I cannot subtract because this is 25 and this is 45. That means what I have to do? I have to borrow from 1. In other words, borrow from 11. So 1 becomes 0. But remember, we're dealing with hour. We're not dealing with the whole number. Okay? So that 1 will turn into 1 hour will turn into 60 minutes. Exactly. I have to convert that. So I'm going to take 60 plus 25. I'm going to adding it to the 25. 0 plus 5 is 5. 6 plus 2 is 8. I'm going to rewrite this one again. 1085 minus 745. See that? Now this is not a proper way of expressing it, the answer or anything, you know. But on the working you can do that. We convert it in this format so that we can solve the problem. But if I were to express, I'd never tell anybody 10:85, you know, that 10 hour and 85 minutes. There's no such thing, alright? But in a working, yes, you can do that. Alright? So now we line it up. Now we can subtract, okay? So 5 minus 5 is 0, 8 minus 4 is 4, and then 10 minus 7 is 3. So that tells me the duration from 7:45 to 11:25 p.m. is 3 hours 40 minutes. Alright? Okay, good. Now let's look at problem number C. Okay, problem C. Now problem C, you're given 8:50 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. Look at that. 8:50 a.m. to 3:50 p.m. Now the first one was AM, AM. Second one was PM, PM. It's good. We don't have to do anything. We just line them up based on big number first, small number on the bottom, and subtract them. We got the answer. Now when you have AM and PM, we got a whole different method of doing it. What do we have to do? Very good. Convert them to 24-hour system. Alright, we can change both of them to 24-hour system, okay? So the first one, this one will be 0850. Alright, and this one will be what? And this is PM, so I'm going to add the 3 to 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. 15, exactly. So I'm finding the interval from 0850 to 15 hours. Alright, now I can subtract. I take the big number, subtract with the small number. So I'm taking 1515 and lining up with the 0580 minus. alright? And you know that this is the minute part of it, okay? And this is the hour part of it, alright? But look at that, 15 and 50. Exactly, you cannot subtract. So what are you going to do? You're going to borrow from 5, which would be 1 hour. You're borrowing 1 from 5, which is 1 hour. Alright, because this is, you're dealing hours, alright, hours and minute. So this one will become 4, and you're adding 60 to this one. Okay, so we can take 60 plus 15, 0 plus 5 is 5, 6 plus 1 is 7. So I'm going to rewrite this one as 1475 minus 0580. Alright, we're lining up. Alright, so we're going to line it up. So now we're going to subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5, 7 minus 5 is 2, 4 minus 8, I cannot borrow from 1, become 14 minus 8 is 6. And then 0, and then this one becomes 0, this one becomes 14, 0 minus 0 is 0. So it'll be 6:25, okay? That means 6 hours, 25 minutes, alright? Because this is the hour and this is the minute, alright? So that's the hour, okay? And that's why I got 6 hours. This is the minute, okay? Minutes, alright? And that's why I get the 25 minutes. So the duration from 8:50 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. is 6 hours and 25 minutes. Okay, the only extra step I do on this one is convert them into 24 hours system, because they're a.m. to p.m. Alright, good. Alright, then let's do problem D. Before we go to D, how about Mr. Mag erase the board? Alright, I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, problem D, okay? Now for D, you're given in a form of 24-hour system, alright? So we got 0, 5, 23 to 0, 9, 5, alright? So we got 0, 5, 23 and 0, 9, 5, or you can say 0, 5, alright? So when this is already in a form of 24 system. Alright, so you just line them up, okay? Put the big number first and subtract with a small number. So we're going to put 0, 9, 0, 5, the big number, we're going to line it up with a small number. And then we're just going to subtract them. Okay, now keep in mind with a 24 system, you don't have to worry about the way we do with the 12 system, whether it's AM, AM, PM, PM, or AM, PM. This one, you just line them up, okay, with the big, with the small, and you subtract them, and that will give you the amount of hours and minutes, okay, the interval. Okay, so once you line it up, now before you start subtracting, look at the minute side, okay, look at that, 0, 5, 23. It's small to subtract, for 0, 5 to subtract with 23, alright? So what do you have to do? You have to borrow from 9. 9 becomes 8, and you take 1 hour into the minute. See that? You're taking the 1 hour. So in other words, you have to convert that 1 hour to 60 minutes and take that 5, you add the 5 to the 60 minutes. Alright? So 0 plus 5 is 5, we bring the 6. So 65. So I'm going to rewrite this again. 0, 8, 6, 5 minus, I'm going to line it up with this one. 3, 2, 5, 0. See that? Very important, okay? Because you know this is the minute and this is the hour, okay? So now I can subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2, 6 minus 2 is 4, 8 minus 5 is 3, 0 minus 0 is 0. And you know that this is the hour and this is the minute. So it means 3 hours, 42 minutes. Okay, that is the duration from 0, 5, 23 to 0, 9, 0, 5. Okay, good. Alright, let's look problem E. Now problem E, you're given 1348 to 1929. Alright, what do? Line them up by putting the big number at the top and the small number below it. Okay, so this is the big one, this is a small one. So we're going to put 1929, and then we're going to take the small one, we're going to put it right below it. Okay, and then right there. Make sure you line them up. Alright, so line them up before you start subtracting. Okay, look at the minute And of course, you know the hour, okay? It's the minute part you want to start first. Look at that. 29 minus 48. 29 minus 48. There's no way you can subtract that, okay? Because the top one is smaller than the bottom one. That means what I have to do? Borrow from the hour. Borrow 1 hour from 9. So 9 becomes 8. So you convert that 1 hour to minute, which is 60 minute. And then I add the 29 to it. 0 plus 9 is 9, 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, so I have to rewrite this thing. So it becomes 1889, subtracting that with 1348. So you always line them up, start from the back, okay? Now I can subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1, 8 minus 4 is 4, 8 minus 3 is 5, 1 minus 1 is 0. And you know this is the hour and this is the minute, okay? So that means we know this is going to be 5 hours 41 minutes. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay, so we're dealing with a 24-hour system. When finding the duration, it's very straightforward. Just take the big number, subtract the small number. All right. But when you're dealing with 12-hour system, you got to pay attention. Make sure it's minute in, AM and AM. PM and PM, then you can just subtract big number with a small number. If it's a AM and PM or PM and AM, you have to convert them into 24-hour system and then put the big number up and the small number on the bottom. Alright, and then you just subtract that. You should be fine. Okay, good. Alright, awesome. It looks like, wow, that's a lot of questions. Okay, now let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem number 5. Okay, and give me a few seconds. I'll be back with you. Alright, my dear student, problem number 5. Write the time, okay? 5 hours 45 minutes after 8:30 in 12-hour system, okay? So let's say you're given 8:30 a.m., alright? And you already passed 5 hours and 45 minutes. What would be the new hour in a 12-hour system, okay? So let's do that. 5A. Now 5A, you're given that 8:30, it's your initial time. AM, alright? And then you passed it with how many hours? 5 hours and 45 minutes. That means it already, after, okay? You want to see what it would be after 5 hours and 45 minutes. So in other words, pretty much what we're doing, we're adding to it. So we're adding the 5 hours and 45 minutes to it. Now remember, we're dealing with AM, okay? So let's just go ahead and add it. 0 plus 5 is 5, 3 plus 4 is 7, and then, so you see that you got 75, okay, doesn't matter, go ahead and add it first. 8 plus 5 is, very good, 13, alright? Now, okay, we're dealing with 12-hour system. First look at this, 75, it passed the 60, okay? So we know that 75, which means 60 plus 15, alright? That means this one is 1 hour. And that's 15 minutes. Alright? That means I can take that 1 hour, add it to this one. So that makes it this one, 14, 15. But this shows what? In a form like 24-hour system, alright? So you know that you already passed the 12. So I subtract 12. That gives me 2:15. Okay? That means 2:15 AM becomes PM right there. Okay, does that make sense? Alright, let's recap that again. Let's redo that again, alright? You're given 8:30 AM and they want to find out after 5 hours and 45 minutes what would be the new time, alright? So we can pretty much add that 5:45 to the 8:30 AM. Now one way of doing it is convert that into 24-hour system, alright? Let's do that. So we got 0830. Okay, now we got 5 hours and 45 minutes. Let's convert that also into what form? Very good, in a form of a 24-hour system. Okay, we got 5 hours and so we also given 5 hours and 45 minutes after. So let's convert that also in a form of 24-hour system. Will be what? 0545. Okay, 0545. Now we're going to add them. 0 plus 5 is 5, 3 plus 4 is 7, 8 plus 5 is 13, 3 carry 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 0 is 1. See that? Now, look at this, 75. That's past the 60 minutes. Exactly, you cannot express like that because 60 minutes makes 1 hour. So you have to put it below 60. See that? So when I subtract that by 60, gives me 15. And I take that and add it to the 13. So 13 becomes 14. Now look at that. This is in a form of what? 24-hour system. Okay, so we're going to subtract. We want to change that into 12-hour system. Okay, what do? We subtract. But then first thing we know that is this is already past 12. That means it's going to be PM. Alright? Now I'm going to subtract that with 12. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. That means it's 2:15 PM. Same thing. 2:15 PM. So you can use it this way or you can use the 24-hour system way of doing it. Alright, then convert that back to 12 hours. Alright, okay, good. Let's look at B. Now B, you're told 7 hours 15 minutes after 08:45 in 24-hour system. They want to express in a 24-hour system. Okay, so for B, you're given that you started at 08:45. Okay, that's a 24-hour system hours. All right, you're given that format. All right, and then you already went over by 7 hours and 15 minutes. So what do? We change that 7 hours to 15 minutes in a form of 24-hour system also. So that would be 0715. Okay, we're going to take that, we're going to add it to this one. So 5170, we're going to add it. 5 plus 5 is 10. 0, carry 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 1 is, very good, 6. 8 plus 7 is, exactly, 15, carry 1. And then it will become 1 because 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, now wait a minute, look at this, the minute side. 60. You already pretty much, that's 60 right there. That's the 1 hour. Am I right? So we can take that and add it to the 15. Okay, so that becomes 1600. See that? Because this become 1 hour. So plus 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. Bring the 1 down. And this one becomes 0 because the 60 already became 1 hour. So nothing left. I just put 0. So it's 1600 hours. 1600 hours. Alright? Okay, very important. Okay, so when it's a 24-hour system, it's pretty straightforward. When you're dealing with 12-hour system, you may want to convert that in a form of 24, add them up, and then convert them back to 12 hours. Or you can even straight do this way, like how Mr. Mac kind of showed you. Okay, good. Whoa, that's a lot of questions, which is good. That's good. The more you practice, the better. Hands-on practice is so good because that should prepare you for what? For the quiz. And here's Pablo. The moment I say the word quiz, Pablo has already walked in. Thank you, Pablo. And he just challenged you to, what did he say? He said, I dare you, that because he won't dare you, say go and do the quiz and come back for the next lesson. Alright? Yes, my dear students, this is the end of the lesson on measurement. Alright? So good. I'm glad we learned so much. This is a huge lesson. We learned so much, okay? Which is good because this is going to prepare you for the future. Okay? Alright, my dear student, have fun with the quiz, okay? And I'll see you in the next lesson. It's going to be an exciting lesson. We're going to learn about angles. And I'm looking forward to see you here, and I'll be here waiting for you because I'm going to teach you the best because you are the best and you deserve the best and it's coming from the best. Bye-bye.